I want to turn to one of this week's biggest stories in Oklahoma, where the execution of Clayton Lockett went horribly wrong. Lockett was put to death for the murder of a young woman who was buried alive. He died of a heart attack on Tuesday night, 43 minutes after the state's botched attempt at killing him with a combination of drugs. When I saw the news online Tuesday night, I told the friend I was with, and then what happened? The same thing that probably happened in millions of homes this week. We launched right into a vigorous debate about the death penalty. Let's put this data up on screen. More Americans support the death penalty than oppose it. CNN's latest polling shows that support now stands at 50%. Notably, that number has dropped a bit in recent years, but it's still pretty strong. It's natural to wonder if those numbers would change if people actually saw what happens in the death chamber. Occasionally, there is talk of actually televising executions. Some say if you support it, you ought to be able to watch it. Others claim that seeing it may change your mind about the issue. When I was having my death penalty debate with my friend, she was surprised when I told her that reporters do see it, that reporters are witnesses to executions whenever they take place. Maybe you're surprised by that too. Those reporters in those cases, they are serving as our eyes and ears. They are there to report when things go wrong, as they did this week. So let me bring in two of those witnesses now. Matt Trotter of Oklahoma Public Radio witnessed Lockett's execution. It was the very first time he'd ever been a witness. Greg Bluestein, on the other hand, has witnessed a number of them. He wasn't there on Tuesday, but it was his beat for years. He's now at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Matt, let me start with you.
You're welcome.
I know it can't be comfortable coming on television talking about this, but tell me what you did witness on Tuesday.
Well, it was, as you said, my first execution, and I didn't approach it lightly. To me, it was that extension of my duty as a reporter, that it's a very extreme extension of it, but this is still something I felt obligated to do. But that still doesn't quite prepare you for actually being there and watching it, especially when you see it starting to go wrong and you hit that point during the execution where you and the rest of the media witnesses in the room are able to exchange quick glances with the people next to you and just go, oh wow, this is really going wrong. So when it got to that point, I think the journalistic instinct for most of us, definitely for me, just kind of kicked in, and it was a lot of looking up at the clock, looking down at Lockett, looking up at the clock, scribbling on the prison-provided notepad. So I think right now I'm at the point where I haven't slowed down quite enough to process what I saw on Tuesday night, and I think it's going to be difficult when that does finally kind of catch up with me.
Greg, since you've witnessed a number of executions, first let me ask how many, and tell me what changes over time when you've done this more than once.
Yeah, I've witnessed 10 executions, and the first one was my toughest, at least. I remember after I covered that first execution, I went back and wrote. I had a story, of course, in the AP Wire Service, but I also had to write a story about what it was like going through that execution, just to get it all on paper. It's instinctively a secretive process. There's not much detail about it. There's only, in Georgia at least, only a few reporters can even get access to the death chamber. But it's one that is essential. And just as Matt was saying, you sort of wrap yourself in the shroud of journalism. Like there needs to be a dispassionate, neutral observer when the government takes the final step of taking someone's life. But it doesn't make it any easier to do that.
Can you relate to what Matt was just saying about what it's going to be like when he gets to finally slow down and process what's happened?
It does hit you because as reporters, we cover awful things. We cover executions, we cover murders, we cover tornadoes and natural disasters, and it will hit you at some point. What I did and what many of my colleagues who have covered those did, they essentially say this is a duty. Someone has to be there when the state does this final act. Often, for high-profile executions in Georgia, I covered Troy Davis's, which was an international story a few years ago, but most of the time, they're not international stories. A few executions I covered, maybe if you were lucky, 2 reporters were actually in the death chamber, and one of them was sort of a rookie who had never been there before.
You said just 2.
Sorry?
You said just 2 reporters in one.
Just 2 reporters. In Georgia, there's up to 5 reporters in the death chamber, but some of them I've covered. There was a local radio reporter plus me for the Associated Press. So sometimes there's very little media attention on these executions. So we have a duty to say what happens. And I'll add too, some executions, even the condemned man's lawyers or family or friends aren't even in there. The lawyer's usually back in Atlanta or Washington filing last-minute appeals, and they don't have anyone there for them. Not that that's our job, but we have a right to write what is actually happening in there.
There's been discussions over the years about the idea of televising this. It's sometimes brought up by liberals who say the death penalty should be abolished. They say if it was televised, people would change their minds and be against the death penalty. What do you think of that idea now that you went through this week?
I think that if the government does take that ultimate step, that the public should see it. And it is jarring, and it's not something that I'd let my 2 young daughters ever want them to see. But it is something that I feel like the public should know, especially given the number of executions that don't get the type of media attention that Matt's talking about.
You're both reporters, so you may not want to say what your personal view about the death penalty is, but does it change you? Greg, does it change your point of view having done this 10 times?
My view is that if the state's going to take this step, they better be absolutely sure of the guilt. And when there's questions about someone's guilt, it does get to you. I've seen executions where the final words were something along the lines of, "I apologize for what I apologize for the action you're taking against me, and I forgive you." And that stuff haunts you. So my only hope is that when the state goes down this route, and as in Georgia, prosecutors will swear up and down, that every person they've executed in recent history was guilty of the crime, but still, there's lingering doubts get to you.
Matt, I know it's only been a few days for you, but have you felt your personal views changing at all?
Not really. I mean, honestly, my personal views on the issue are sort of up in the air, and I'm figuring them out as I go. Even before I went, that was where I was at on the death penalty. So,
can I just say how refreshing that is to hear, by the way? Sometimes on television, it's set up as a debate, and it's as if everybody has their minds made up. But you're pointing out what I think a lot of people feel, which is that they don't always know how they feel about an issue as serious as this one.
Right. It's a hard one to come to a final decision on, just because there's so much information out there, and then you have to factor in your own personal feelings about things. It's, on one hand, it's not a deterrent to crime, but on the other hand, there's certain crimes that we feel that should be the penalty for it.
What do you think viewers or citizens in general should know about the process? What's something that you learned this week that we at home should know?
It's not a pretty process at any stage of the game. From start to finish, however the finish plays out, there's no real point in there that it's simple and you can just kind of sit back and accept what's happening.
Greg, anything you'd like to tell Matt, given that you've been here before, although not in a case of a botched execution like this?
Yeah, I mean, it will hit you. And my advice is when it does, just get out your pen and write. It doesn't even have to be for publication. I wrote something just for myself that ended up being published, but just write or have someone to talk to. Because something like this, I can't imagine going through that as your first execution.
Greg Bluestein, Matt Trotter, thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.